Parents told my brother that he could take my house, and I could just live in the camper in the backyard because I'm single and he has a wife and kids. Update 9. Link to the video of the original post and 8 updates below. My truck got egged on Halloween. This happened in the middle of the night very early in the morning on the 1st. I suspect it was my ex-SIL. But the person my cameras recorded was wearing layers of heavy sweats, and had their face wrapped up along with big glasses covering the eyes. You couldn't really tell if they were a man or woman. They came on foot too. So no identifying a car. They did look at ex-SIL's height though. But that's not much in the way of evidence on its own. If it was ex-SIL, she knew about my cameras. So covering her face and body for petty eggy revenge was probably the smartest thing she's done in years. Way to finally put her college degree to use. By egging a beat-up old pickup truck. The egg showed up around 3 a.m. I was deep asleep and didn't hear anything. Whoever it was that appeared that night, quickly threw a dozen eggs or so, all over my truck. They didn't attempt to do any more damage at least, and were gone in a flash as soon as the last egg was thrown. I didn't see the mess till I was leaving for work in the morning. I ran my truck through a local car wash during my lunch break. That took most of the egg off. Had to scrub it a bit more later after work. Eggs really aren't good for the paint. But the truck is from the 90s, and doesn't exactly look mint anyway. I did take photos and filed a police report with the CCTV footage as evidence. But so far nothing has come of it. There was no real damage other than my minor irritation and $15 at a car wash. If ex-SIL did do this, then she was smart enough to only throw eggs and not key my paint or slash my tires. So my insurance wouldn't be involved. I don't think much will come of the police report as the cops seem to dismiss it as a probable prank by a teenager. I get they were probably overworked. But at least the report will keep a paper trail in case of future incidents. I waited till now to post because I wondered if anything else would happen. But no. Just right back to peace and quiet. I would appreciate any good advice on the matter though. Just in case something like this happens again. Update: asked around with some people on the street about cameras possibly seeing the person who egged my car. I responded ranging from, "We don't have cameras," to, "It was Halloween and people pulled stupid pranks." Let it go. The few people who were helpful told me that I waited way too long to ask, and the footage auto-deleted. So basically the egger got away. But if it was SIL, I'm guessing she had to walk around a half-mile in those sweats just to not get her car spotted on camera or something. It wouldn't surprise me if she questioned if it was even worth the effort. Oh well. I guess I'll just wait and see if the egg comes back next year. I did hand out printed pictures of the egg though. And even stapled a few up on posts. So now people in my neighborhood are aware at least. The tenants renting out 2 rooms in my house have stayed out of it. And I don't really blame them. It's not their problem. Dan returned to my camper and ex-SIL got a DUI. But Dan kept his word. My camper was returned to me a few months ago, and in good condition. Dan took good care of it and thoroughly cleaned it before giving it back. He and our father also resealed the roof on it once while it was in their care. Inside it's no worse for wear than it was when I was living in it. Only I got it back smelling like pine cleaner. There was some minor drama while Dan was living in my camper from a neighbor right behind them. Not quite sure she qualifies as a Karen. But she was close enough. She started yelling at them from over the fence about the camper. And started threatening the police, and then explained Dan was living in the camper so his son could have his bedroom. Well, the neighbor still wasn't happy, but stopped with the threats. My father talked to her husband later though, and he was bull mad at her. Then he apologized on her behalf, and said Dan was doing a good thing by giving up his room to his son. The neighbor husband also congratulated Dan on kicking out SIL, and said he was always afraid to mention it before. But she was just a horrid woman. We can all agree on that now. So yeah, the neighbors aren't a problem anymore. Dan and our father managed to get some money together on the side, and bought a slightly bigger camper to set up in our parents' backyard. We needed my truck just to move it. But we got it in there. It's basically the best Dan can do right now till the credit debts his ex piled up are paid off. And even then, he's got the future of his kids to plan for. He may be living in that camper for the next 10 years. But it's preferable to how it was when he was married. His ex-wife certainly can't and won't be contributing to college funds for the kids. Except maybe for her affair baby. Dan's camper is admittedly better than mine, and it's newer, bigger, and has its own bathroom. Mine does not. Although Dan never really uses said bathroom. It's basically become a closet since the toilet and shower are so tiny. If he needs to take a leak or something, he just goes in the house. Dan and I had a joking laugh about me being jealous he's got the better hobo house. And we bantered like sarcastic gentlemen about it. He's kitted out his camper with some better amenities. Like a flat-screen TV complete with streaming, video games, and DVD. He said it feels like he really has his own place now, even though he's just in the backyard. And he's much happier now that he's divorced. Dan tells me one day he'll get a truck too, just so he can move the camper on his own someday. But for now he's sticking with his minivan for the sake of his kids. So his camper is sitting pretty where it is, and mine is back in my backyard where it belongs. Though it's not gone and used. I temporarily rented it to a cousin who moved into the area for work. And they were only in the camper for about a month before finding their own apartment. Other than that, it serves as a guest house when needed. Relatives come by to use it when in town so as to not need a motel. My nephew has come over to stay in it a few times for fun as well. His sisters don't really have an interest. The camper is the closest he's ever been to camping. Same here sadly, because I didn't buy that camper to camp but to live. As for my parents. They've gotten therapy. My mother got medicated for her mental problems, and fully acknowledges her terrible past mistakes as a parent with all of the favoritism, as does my father. My father is still awkward around me. But he's been fairly active in his church, and is working hard to rebuild the family reputation as best he can. And Dan has cut back on drinking a lot since he isn't so stressed out anymore. He's even taken up exercising. He's in pretty good shape now. And he told me his ex-wife saw the picture of him he posted online after shedding 20 pounds and called him to compliment. He didn't take the bait. As for the holidays, my parents, brother and siblings all came to my Christmas Eve party last year, along with most of the other relatives who came the year prior. No problems at all, save for the fact none of them could stay the night in my spare rooms anymore since I rented them out. Both of my tenants were away seeing their own families too. Things went swimmingly. Not only was Sail not invited, she wouldn't have been able to crash the party anyway because of my restraining order against her. But she also barely made any attempt to spend time with her other kids either. She only bothered to see them twice a month at best. She didn't even send them any gifts for Christmas or birthdays since being outed as a cheater. And the kids were initially pretty upset about that. But now they just don't care. Sil I guess decided she was gonna try to live like she was single again, despite having a baby at home. And it didn't go well because life gave her one hell of a cheese slap. On New Year's, Sal went out late to party like it was 1999. And she got pulled over by a cop on her way home. She got arrested for DUI, and her car was impounded. She called Dan while being arrested begging him to come get her car to keep it from going impound. He told her he was not helping her, and she could deal with it herself. Dan has drunk and drove, so it was kinda a little hypocritical. But this woman put him through so much, I don't blame him for rebuffing her. Some flying monkeys of SILs called Dan to berate him for being a terrible person. Pretty sure this was the same woman who called me a while back. Dan had none of her shit, and went off on her with a long tirade about his ex's cheating, what happened in the divorce, and that he has no sympathy for his ex since she left him with mounds of credit card debt and she does nothing for their kids anymore. The flying monkey didn't call back. We still don't know who she was. But Dan said she sounded like a religious nut. Sal went to court, and she pleaded guilty for the DUI. Dan found this out because she called him claiming that because of the DUI, she wouldn't be seeing her other kids anytime soon. She told him she was sentenced to take a 6-month DUI class, in which time her license is suspended until completion. And she won't be allowed to drink at all. Which is the part she was most upset about. I've heard of these classes before. They make you take regular and at times random urine tests, and when you finally get your license back, you have to have a camera and breathalyzer installed in your car for a year. Also increased insurance rates for the DUI fun time. But I have no pity for her. I don't drink and drive. Sadly that's all the info I have on Sal, as she's kept minimal contact with Dan for some time now. And eventually she'll probably stop contacting him altogether unless absolutely necessary. I don't know anything else about Sal's parents or her affair baby. Even Dan doesn't know. But I do still have a bit of info on someone else. Remember Sal's affair partner, the bronze-tongued lout? Well, he made his social media public again. And he doesn't seem to acknowledge the existence of Sal or his child at all. Dan tried to message him, and promptly got an immediate block. So the guy is just being an ass and acting like his shit doesn't stink. Whatever. His knocking up SIL got her out of the family anyway. So in a way, we're all thankful to that AP bastard. That's everything I have. And hopefully won't need to come back again. Unless my truck gets egged again next Halloween. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you all.